And we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we're going to talk about a couple things regarding Nick Chubb and Geno Smith. So with Nick Chubb, the Browns renegotiated his contract to lower his base salary from $11.75 million for the 2024 season with the opportunity to earn it back through incentives. Obviously, Chubb suffered that horrific knee injury in Week 2 of the 2023 season, ending his year, and raised concern about his future performance due to now him being at age 28, and also dealing with past injuries as well, also in college, or going back to college, and Chubbs was before the injury one of the most consistent running backs in the NFL. I mean, right now he's got 6,500 rushing yards. 48 rushing touchdowns over 6 seasons. Again, like I said, one of the more consistent running backs in the NFL. And just him getting hurt earlier in the season like that was, again, one of the most devastating injuries of the 2023 season. And, the Browns, they still pieced it together. They brought back Kareem Hunt. Jerome Ford ran the ball well for them last year. So the Browns still, they figured it out. They still made the playoffs. I mean, obviously, with Nick Chubb and Deshaun Watson, it would have been different. But having them the full year. But, yeah, they had Flacco come in towards the end of the year, and they still made the playoffs. So credit to them. Again, season didn't end how they wanted it to against the Texans, but they still found a way. So, yeah, there's been, limited updates on Chubb's recovery, leading to speculation about his ability to return to form and his high cap number for 2024, which is $15.825 million. Rather than releasing Chubb, the Browns opted to adjust his contract, like I said, allowing him to potentially earn back his salary through the incentives, like I said. So right now, the Browns' current running back depth, it consists of Nyheim Hines and Deontay Foreman, so they brought those guys in. And, so they're bringing in a total of 6 running backs ahead of the draft. So, and listen, I like Deontay Foreman. I feel like he could be, a decent backup for them, take over that Kareem Hunt role. You still got Jerome Ford there as well. Nyheim Hines is coming off of an injury himself. But, yeah, they brought in a ton of depth, so they can try to ease Chubb back into it. And I hope they do, because I like Nick Chubb. And again, watching him go down, that hurt the league as well, seeing him get hurt. So I hope he is able to bounce back. Because, this is a big year for the Browns. He comes back hopefully healthy. You got Deshaun Watson coming back. You made moves by, for example, you added to the running back depth, but you also traded for Jerry Jeudy. You signed him to a contract extension. You still got Amari Cooper there. David Njoku's coming off of a big year. You also have Elijah Moore there, a good defense. Coach of the year in Kevin Stefanski. So, I mean, the Browns, they should be a good team, again, in 2024, and should be battling for a playoff spot. Now, again, I look at the Bengals and the Ravens as the favorites for the division, so I think the Browns, their path to the playoffs, in my opinion, is through the wild card. But, if Nick Chubb can get eased back into it and, maybe be close to what he was before the injury, Browns, I think, could be in good shape. So, but, again, only time will tell with that. Again, I hope that he bounces back. But, yeah, like I said, limited updates on his recovery, so we'll see. And, yeah, getting older. He's getting into that old age for a running back. And, again, we're just we really are away from the time where it was you thought Adrian Peterson and Marshawn Lynch were just going to be around forever. But yeah, that's just how it is. Well, then again, you look at Derrick Henry, he's 30, and the Ravens signed him. And Derrick Henry could go out there with the Ravens and have, this great year at 30. So he could be that, well, he already is that, this generation's, Adrian Peterson, Marshawn Lynch. But we'll see how he does in his new home. But yeah, Nick Chubb, but Derrick Henry isn't coming off of a significant injury like Nick Chubb is. Nick Chubb's a couple years younger and has dealt with injuries before. Knee injury. I believe knee injuries in college. It's unfortunate that this happens to him again. Now in the NFL against the Steelers on that Monday night. So we'll see what happens. But, got to give the Browns credit for bringing in a lot of running back depth, just so they have backup plans for Chubb, with them trying to, when he comes back, again, like I said, they want to ease him into it. So we'll keep an eye on it. So then the other thing I wanted to talk about was Geno Smith. So he's entering now his 11th season in the NFL, which is crazy to think about. He's determined to prove himself once again that he is the starting quarterback for the Seahawks. He is facing competition, though. Seahawks traded for Sam Howell. And I did say I think he's really going to push Geno Smith for that starting job. And, things are going to be different because now you got a new head coach in Mike Macdonald there, coming over from the Ravens. No more Pete Carroll. Smith restructured his contract. I know we talked about that on a previous show. But yeah, he's got to go out there and prove the doubters wrong again. He acknowledged uncertainty regarding the level of respect he receives in the league, but finds motivation in continually fighting for it. He credits Pete Carroll with instilling a never say die mentality of always compete, and expresses gratitude for Pete Carroll's influence on his career. While acknowledging the difficulty of Carroll's departure, Smith is embracing the direction under new head coach Macdonald and offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb. Smith describes the offense as pretty complex under Grubb's system, but he and his teammates are committed to learning and adapting. He believes Macdonald's vision for the team, emphasizing the importance of buying into the new coaching staff's leadership. Despite the changes, Smith draws on his experience with coaching changes in the past and stresses the importance of unity and buying into the new system for success. So I wanted to look at some of the direct quotes from that in the article here. But yeah, he says, I got everything to prove. He said, new coaching staff, old coaching staff, I got everything to prove. He said, that's every day. That's the way I wake up every day. I'm competing with Sam Howell. I know he's competing with me. I'm going to compete my butt off. I'm competing with everybody in this building to be the best that I can be. I really don't approach it any other way. But yeah, like I said, spoke very highly of Pete Carroll. And yeah, this is some of the other stuff he had to say about Pete Carroll. Like I said, he mentioned the stuff that Carroll told him. Always compete. What he learned from Pete Carroll. Always compete. Always go for it. Never back down. The day is the day I'll remember forever just because of how things happened for me. He said, obviously, Coach Carroll is a big influence on my career. Helped me out a bunch when I came to this organization. Really helped me thrust into the spotlight that I'm in now. For me, it was kind of a terrible moment to see someone that I love so much having to part ways with him. That's the way of the NFL. That's the way things go. Very excited for what we have here now and just the direction we're heading in. So, we'll see. But it just goes to show you that, from what he said, he really praises Pete Carroll and really helped him out. And yeah, the Seahawks really did believe in Geno because, they traded for Drew Lock. They got Drew Lock in the Russell Wilson trade. And people were like, oh, well, it looks like Drew Lock's going to be the starter. No, Geno Smith really took that starting job, and, they beat the Broncos week 1 in 2022, and then he said the famous quote of, they wrote me off, but I didn't write back. And he did have a good 2023 season. Not as good of a 2023 season as 2022. But, the Seahawks, they still had an opportunity to make the playoffs. And, I think Geno, he earned the right, to be the starter. Has earned the right to be the starter, these last couple of seasons. But now it's, different coaching staff. And I think what I meant to say was he has earned the right to, still, start games in this league and be, at least the backup quarterback. I think that's probably what could end up happening. I just knocked into my mic. Apologize for that. But, like I said, I think Sam Howell is really going to push him for this starting job. So he's got to go out there, like you said, he's going to go out there and compete and not back down. And I think that's a good mindset to have. But we'll see. I mean, with the Seahawks, I think you want to see what you have in Sam Howell because, the Seahawks have a good roster. And I think with Geno Smith, the ceiling's not very high. They maybe could advance in the playoffs, get into the second round possibly, but I don't really see them going any further than that if they were to get in. Now, they did miss the playoffs in 2023. So, and of course you got the Rams who got better. Again, had a bounce back year, and you still got the 49ers. So, the division's tougher. The Rams swept the season series with them. The 49ers, of course, did. Yeah, I mean, your only wins came against the Cardinals. So, they got some competition in that division. So, right now their best path is to make the playoffs through the wild card. But I mean, we'll see. Is it going to be? I think if Geno Smith struggles, then it's going to be Sam Howell. But I think now with this new regime, you're going to have them battle it out. And for me, I would like to see Sam Howell be the starter and see what he does with this, better team that he's now with. Because, again, got off to a good start in Washington. And then, things just did not go well as the season progressed. So, I mean, there is some talent there with Sam Howell. Now, again, I don't look at Sam Howell as like the next elite quarterback, but, was up there in passing yards. I mean, again, first couple games, he looked pretty good. And even in some of the games that they lost, he looked good. But there were some games that they did lose that he looked pretty bad. Like the Cowboys game on Thanksgiving and, it just Giant games. But did look good against the Eagles, even though the Eagles' defense wasn't very good. But still, in losing efforts, he did perform well. But in other games that they lost, did not play well. But I also, he was one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL, too. So now you're on the Seahawks. Again, you're in a better situation. I'd like to see how he does. And again, because you got a pair of good running backs, you got, a trio of solid wide receivers. I'd like to see what he could do. And I think he'll have the opportunity to compete for that starting job. But we'll see. It's gonna be an interesting competition. Holding back a sneeze here. It's gonna be an interesting competition between him and Geno Smith. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the show for today. Again, with these topics here, let me know your thoughts in the comments with the Seahawks quarterback situation. Who do you think will get the starting job ultimately? And as well as Nick Chubb's contract situation. How do you guys see him bouncing back? I mean, again, hope he does because, he is a great player. But, again, getting older as a running back, significant knee injury. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. But hoping for the best for Chubb. And I hope he bounces back and has a productive year for the Browns. And the Browns are hoping for a better year and not last year where you had a ton of injuries. So, but yeah, another week in the books. These weeks just fly by. I mean, that's just how it is lately, at least for me. But yeah, again, make sure to tune in to all the other shows as well. Get perspectives on other sports here on the GSMC Sports Network. Also for football as well. Like I said, always give the other show some love. But yeah, that is all the time that we have for today, though. I'll wrap it up here. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back again on Monday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And until then, I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, have a good weekend, and I will talk to you guys on Monday. Take care.